First of all, to start off with, would love to say hello, welcome to the Superchain, Andrew. Hello, Ryan. How are you doing? Hope everything's going well. We're super excited to learn about Inc. We're super excited to be able to start this new journey together. And yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm super stoked.
This is a great day. It's a great day. We've been a lot of work to lead up to this day, so it's exciting.
Let's go. So as everyone knows, Ryan is the head of growth at Optimism. And Andrew is the founder of Inc. And if you haven't heard already, Inc. is a new layer 2 built on the Superchain, incubated by Kraken, which is a centralized exchange we all know of, has been founded in 2011, and in 2024 is launching a chain named Inc. So just to go directly into it, hey, Andrew, what is Inc? What is it? How did you get it started? You've been at Kraken for 6 years now. Would love to learn about that journey and how we've ended up in this wonderful place we are in right now.
Yeah, a very, very crazy journey. So a little over a year ago, I hired somebody back to basically form kind of like a blockchain innovation team, because we have what we think is like best in class UX and experiences for consumer and pro. And it was like, adding features to that and like building up our new products on those two things. But it's like, okay, how do we lean into the networks and things that we're actually supporting, right? What do we want to do? So we started exploring like, little innovations on cryptography, making some zero knowledge contracts and proof checking things. And then we kind of settled on, okay, let's just take the company on chain. So after a very long walk in Amsterdam, planning this out, for like 5 hours and on that walk, we came up with Kraken Inc. and decided that it's time to, run some test nets and explore like how we're going to actually do this. And then eventually we found ourselves with you guys and really jazzed on the Superchain and, wanting to join something that we felt was like, and again, I know this is like a cliche example, but from the 90s, TCP/IP was like where the internet was kind of converging. That's what we felt like with the Superchain. There's interoperability everywhere. There's so many big networks out there that are already there. And it's really like a rising tide, all ships type of thing where if we're joining that, then we're just, another ship going up with everyone. And we're going to bring our easy to use UX, bring it to DeFi, make it so it's the easiest experience to onboard our clients into DeFi.
Hell yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah.
Awesome. As this OP stack scales, the Superchain scales, it's always interesting to see that journey. What started as a small idea with Ethereum researchers led into OP mainnet, now led into the OP stack and the Superchain. Ryan, would love to dive a little bit more into that. What has been the strategy of this movement, and what stands out to you and where we headed in the future?
Yeah, and if you look back, Optimism launched as a single chain, right? It's evolved as a single L2. There was this thought process of like, how do we think bigger? How do we scale a vast ecosystem? How do you get a lot of chains to feel like one and really solve some of these fragmentation issues? And so, the idea was just like think bigger than just one single ecosystem, one single chain. And so this concept of, you want to build together to go further really started to emerge. And so OP Stack is open source. It's MIT license. You can go take it. Anybody can go take it for free to do anything that they want, And so a lot of it was like, well, why pay, right? What is the reason of, using a stack and contributing back, revenue to the Optimism Collective? Why do I want to go build an ecosystem where maybe competitors are also operating in? And it's this thinking bigger. It's, realizing you can go further. And so out of the box, you can deploy an L2 chain. You can have shared security, shared upgrades. You have this path to permissionless fault proofs in stage 1. You have Security Council with governance and, oversight. And so you have everything out of the box that allows you to operate like a best-in-class chain by taking this route. And now you also are getting the effects of interoperability that are beginning to happen and will continue to develop further. So this was the strategy, right? It's a long time in the making. It's not easy to just kind of like move in this path, but it's been so fun to see a Coinbase, a Uniswap, a Kraken, a Sony, all building, in the same ecosystem. And the other thing that I think people don't really realize as well is all of them are contributing to the underlying OP stack and making it a better stack. And then they all are benefiting from the contributions to the stack. so there's this huge exponential development curve that I don't think enough people talk about, where we have, best protocol engineers and minds across the ecosystem all working together to think about how to advance this thing, and that's exciting. And so this is the path. You start to see these like positive results happen in real time, and I think choosing this is a real testament to the direction we're going, how we can all work together and be more unified in the Ethereum ecosystem.
Awesome. What a journey it's been. I think, like, looking at the data right now, there's 7.2 million daily L2 transactions. There's about 15,700 collective ETH revenue earned over time, over 37% of layer 2 market shares within the Superchain. And you have all these contributors and core developers from across Ethereum coming and building this. When we look at Kraken now, and when we look at Inc. and the launch of that, how do you feel, Andrew, that Inc. fits into this roadmap, into this kind of ecosystem that's burgeoning into one big superchain?
So, like, how we're thinking of it is, I feel like there's many app chains out there. Like Zora is a very specific use case. Base is maybe more general. Unichain, of course, DeFi with Uniswap. We want our own flavor of DeFi, and so we really don't see it as any kind of competition at all. We're going to be building completely in the open. We're going to be contributing back to the protocol with what we feel enables us for things, and if everybody else is on board, we want to see that go through governance. So again, like, we don't really see it as any kind of like competition or anything like that. It is really what kind of, I have to be cliche here, but cracked engineering team do we have that we can bring all of our talents and skills and all of our like OG kind of cypherpunk passion for DeFi and like self-sovereign money and permissionless money. How can we bring all that easy UX to the DeFi experience? Reducing the amount of multi-calls you have to do on contracts, or making it so that people don't even know that there's drainer contracts out there or anything malicious. It's just we want that best-in-class security that we're known for, the UX, and just make it so that you can really take your financial life on chain. And I guess one thing on the interoperability too, how we see ourselves in there is we've always understood that if a trade or some liquidity action happens on Inc., we know that in the Superchain in the future, it doesn't matter where that liquidity lives. You could be tapping into liquidity on Base or Unichain or whatever chain XYZ out there, and we just we absolutely love that because everybody's kind of contributing to this bigger Superchain pool.
Yes, and your experience speaks for itself as in all the years, in all the 13 years that Kraken has been around. There's a ton of learnings there. There's a lot of billions of dollars has been trusted with Kraken. And I think bringing that expertise within on-chain and like within the DeFi experience to improve that UX is incredibly powerful. And the entire ecosystem and all crypto users have an amazing opportunity here to relish in an on-chain experience unlike anything else. I think one of the things that we think about a lot in the Superchain is how exactly do these ecosystems target developers? When we look at like new apps that are needed in the ecosystem, what makes Inc. unique to other L2s? What, in your view, Andrew, makes Inc. stand out as well as you guys get ready for launch? So
initially, and just a shout out on the mainnet timing, that's definitely early Q1. But initially, like, we just want to, as a kind of like out of the gate, technical kind of change is just less than 1 second block time. But we are going to be leaning into, ERC 7683 with cross-chain intents, 7702 before it even hits mainnet. We want to make sure that wallet and all of our tooling is supporting these new, advancements on top of 4337. And we really are going to be focusing on those easy to use builder tools for DeFi. And that could be anything. It could be, a new components that allow you to do perps instead of just swaps, or like going deeper into options or something. So we want it to be like a one-click shop where somebody can spin up a bunch of charts, spin up their interfaces, and be able to plug into DeFi just super easy. So we do have a hacker house that we're doing at DevCon, and we're gonna have just our little kind of preliminary tooling that we're gonna show to the world there with some partners. And then as we go into Q1 and mainnet, we really want those tools to be pretty mature so that anybody that wants to build on Inc., we'll invite them on, we'll help them, kind of like look at our tooling and see how they can do those one-click things and Cursor or Replit, whatever people are wanting to use these days.
Awesome. Yeah, the extensibility and the flexibility for developers it's very exciting to see. I think in terms of that, we want to dive a little bit into why Ink is built on the Superchain. Specifically, there's a lot of different ecosystems with similar approaches around the crypto sphere. There's the opportunity to make an L1, another L2. Like why has Ink decided to build on the Superchain? I would love to actually go to Ryan on this. Like, what exactly does the Superchain mean for someone like Kraken? And why do we think Kraken and Ink is joining this ecosystem right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think like one, there's kind of two ways to think about the Superchain. There's like a very literal technical, conversation, which we touch on, which is, hey, it's this OP stack chain. It has the ability to launch permissionless fault proofs. Because it's on this version and standard, it benefits from a shared security model, shared upgrades, and allows for protocol interoperability, which has been touched on and talked. And so there's a lot of these things that are very literal. It's OP governed block space because people have done key handover to Security Council and they're doing proposals through governance. And it's a lot of that is the very technical, literal term. But then I also think of like the Superchain more broadly, and it feels, and you can see it in conversation today, that we kind of have lost our way in the Ethereum community of being collaborative and working together, right? And like reminding ourselves that there was maybe a little too much friendly fire, and we're actually all on the same team here of like building on the world computer, if you will. And so part of me also feels like the other aspect, the non-technical version of the Superchain is this group of people that are interested in this. And this is even people that are taking OP stack and modifying it, like what Succinct is doing, the OP stack and ZKPs, and what people are trying to do with Alt-DA and custom gas tokens and all these different things. You have OP Ref, and that's awesome, right? Like there are people that just like, this is an opportunity to work on this stack that's like very modular, that is open source friendly. And because of this, we can all think about a million different ways to advance the ecosystem and work together. And so like, there's that group as well. And so when I look at like an Ink join, they're coming into an ecosystem where they very much know on the other side of that, there is a Coinbase, there is a Uniswap, and they meet that with like a lot of excitement and enthusiasm, encouragement, and not, concern or, content where they don't, or discontent where they don't want to. And so that says a lot about like where things are moving, of like, we've got to build together. We have to build these things. What we have in front of us is very complex. No one's ever done it before. There's no blueprint. And if we all continue to kind of operate in these like very siloed environments and tinker and try to build these things, it will take us forever to really get to this future goal of things being on chain. And that's like better for the greater good of the internet, right? And so I don't know. I think there's this real point right now in this happening where that is something that if you look back, like I think a lot of people would have doubted that that people could come together to do that. And I think it's really anchored around scaling Ethereum. I think the cool thing about the Superchain is it's kind of it's owned by everyone. It's not an optimism thing. It's all these developers that are contributing to it. It's governance. It's a security council. I mean, everybody has a role to play in this, and so really fun to see all these things starting to collide. I really do like to answer the question. Think that is a big reason of like Ink joining and Ink enthusiasm, and you can see it every day in the way that they're like showing up. And now with a public announcement, for the world to get to see it, it's going to be fun.
Yeah, I got to add to that a little bit. Like you hit the nail on the head. I was talking to Ben earlier, and we want to bring Kraken users on chain. We want to bring our products on chain. We want to make it an easy experience. We don't want to worry about, like how secure is our chain, if we're developing like our own L1 or something like that. We don't want to have to spend all the years of research and, making sure that you have like all this crazy top talent to do that. Superchain is all working together on those things. And we kind of just get that out of the box. Like your call out earlier about, you can run this thing in like 1 minute, right? I had all kinds of non-coders and lawyers and product managers or whatever, like experimenting on our experiments with testnets. And it's really cool to see like people you wouldn't expect using blockchain or going on chain. I think the Superchain like enabled that completely.
There's beauty in that it just works, especially in this industry. It's helpful.
Yeah.
Definitely. I love the point about people who didn't expect to coming on chain, both in a builder perspective and now in a user perspective. Millions of users clearly on Kraken. You mentioned that you're trying to bring them on chain. I think that presents an amazing opportunity for people to actually, I guess, so to speak, like, ink their first transactions on chain.
Nice.
Very.
I'm impressed.
So speaking of the Superchain, the camaraderie, the collaboration here, would love to ask both of you. What has stood out for you when you look at the Superchain? What is something, as you first started hearing about it, maybe you may have gotten interested, and then now when you look at it, it's like, wow, that specific thing has been the most interesting thing in this explosive year of growth. Is there something that stands out to you in particular?
Let's see. At the beginning, I think it was the ease of use. That was like, as we had all of our internal test nets on so many different stacks and, nothing against any of the others. Like that is actually another one of the coolest things about the Ethereum ecosystem and Superchain in general. It doesn't seem like interoperability is just in Superchain, right? It's like everybody's like, reaching out to the other side of the aisle and making sure that everybody's along for the ride. And I'm seeing like those really cool proposals that are happening right now where, nobody's being left behind in the interoperability debate. So love that. Love how easy it is to use. And then simply the network effects, right? Like there's already really strong network effects. And we see that, even though some people at Kraken will get mad at me when I say this, but that's okay. Even though Bitcoin hasn't changed much and, it hasn't really done anything, it's kind of like an ossified protocol a little bit. It still has the strongest network effects as far as like people just kind of storing value in money, right? And so we saw that with the Superchain. Like there's definitely really strong network effects, amazing community, and we wanted to be a part of it.
Awesome. So in terms of Ink and your visions and how you got here as well, where do you think like your first steps in the next couple of months kind of lie? Like what are parts that you feel right now Ink is best positioned to tackle? You mentioned DeFi, you mentioned UX, you mentioned Kraken as well. We'd be curious to know a little bit more about your plans and how kind of that will play out over the next couple of months.
With this announcement, Wallet is being kind of merged in being like a heavy part of Ink. So anything that the Ink kind of protocol team is thinking about, we're applying it to Wallet as well and making sure that those things are completely interchangeable and can be plugged into each other. So, like I said, it's leaning into all the latest, 7702 on top of 4337 for smart wallets. This is kind of getting our foundation there of like really, quick, easy to use, almost like how the OP stack is easy to spin up. We want DeFi applications easy to spin up. We want embedded wallets easy to spin up. So like, I think it's a quarter or two of us like really focusing on those kind of UX things and making sure that builders have a really good time. And then beyond that, we, like you said, we're almost decade and a half. And that means we have very deep central order books and we have a lot of liquidity on the exchange. So we want to make sure that if you are purely an on-chain user, you have some kind of access to off-chain liquidity. So we're exploring a lot of concepts around that. We want to make sure that the worlds really start to collide and, hopefully more of it just keeps going on more and more on-chain. But I think that's what we're looking at in the near term.
Andrew, sorry, Binji, not to hijack. I'm just like on that. I'm actually really curious. How do you think about like your pitch to developers to come build on Ink, and how do you think about the broader developer community? You talk a lot about users, which is awesome, and like through the user journey, there's like all these benefits. What do you think of app developers and how they should think about Ink?
Well, if we have central order books and you have to authenticate to be able to use those, we want to make sure that you have on Ink the easy tools to be able to tap into that liquidity. So we want to bring that to them, and then we also have like this kind of incubator, incubator with a K, right? So it's all in theme.
Of course.
We have this incubator that we want to bring to the world. So if you are like a fresh project and you haven't really deployed yet, you're looking at funding, you want to like get in with people that are going to help with tooling and everything, we absolutely want to talk to you. And we want to make sure that we are providing the best tooling, best in class tooling, UX, everything for you to make your DeFi application. and incubate with us and come over to Inc.
Two things. One, we'll never make fun of you. You put super in front of everything. So you use all the puns you want.
Good.
Two, where would a developer go for that?
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a call to action of like developer to go for the incubator?
So
where would they go check it out at?
Yeah, this would be as of today, this is on inkonchain.com. So in there you'll see like kind of like our overview and our vision and mission and what we're doing with Inc. And then you'll see, there's a Discord, there's a Twitter, Telegram, all that. You could go to the Discord. We have a bunch of people highlighted that are spokespeople and moderators that, would love to chat with you. I'm Inc AK there in the Discord, so please ping me. I'm AK47 Inc on Twitter too. So you can.
And that's hard ass Twitter handle, dude.
Well, my initials are AK, so
yeah. I love it.
I love the weaponry too. It's very fun to collect and all that, and I have to do it.
Love it. No, it's a badass name. This isn't gonna cut it standing next to that one.
When we look at developers and we think about like the new apps in the world and the developer communities that exist, the Superchain, the ones that'll exist through Inc. Right? How do you envision the Superchain helping with that growth for the likes of Inc? Like,
incentives. Yeah. There's a lot of different ways, users and developers can think about it. Like one, there's in the Optimism has about 500 million OP tokens and airdrops that are committed to be distributed. That was, as part of the initial token allocation, there was this large chunk of airdrops and a lot still haven't been deployed yet. And the last round was, across the Superchain for the OP airdrop distribution, which is cool just to see how different users were interacting with the different chains inside the Superchain, and where they were shared, where they were unique, where unique ones individually started to, go across the ecosystem. There's retro funding, which we just finished round 5. Binji, keep me honest, it was round 5. It's going quick. We're doing 4, there's 4 this year in the Optimism ecosystem. So we just round 5 went through. There's a learning inside of each one of those. Never has been perfected, but this one was recently on the OP stack and doing things to advance the OP stack. And so developers that were contributing to it, there's a whole allocation towards that people voted on and distributed, and always getting feedback there, trying to iterate it every round. And so I think there's a bunch of different levers that are happening inside the ecosystem. We had Superfest, which was really cool. That just recently occurred as well. I think you'll continue. The growth focus is growing the Superchain, right? I think that's the really clear thing. The Optimism ecosystem efforts is growing the Superchain. It's not this emphasis on OP mainnet, and in fact, OP mainnet kind of serves as neutral block space. You could maybe, if you wanted to get cute from a U.S. perspective, like DC, where on-chain voting happens and some of that as well. As you think about app developers interoperating, you can be deploying across all of these chains, like SuperSim that we're working through and is starting to roll out. But you really want to have fair treatment and distribution across the Superchain. So there's a lot happening, for developers to partake in that are in many different avenues.
On the note of the Superchain, we published a definitions blog post. If anyone is interested, it's optimism.mirror.xyz. There's a Superchain, there's the OP stack, and in the midst of all this news, there is an additional announcement here where Inc. and Kraken will be joining the core developer team on the OP stack to ensure that it's a public good for everybody. Is there anything specific you and the team are excited about, Andrew, with respect to this? This is a stack that obviously is being worked on by various developers from across the ecosystem. You'll get to partner with some of the all the minds of Ethereum and other ecosystems as well, who are contributors and core devs. What excites you the most, and where do you see your team contributing?
As a newbie, a newish member to it, right? We're kind of in listening mode and along for the ride to be okay, how is everybody contributing? Where could we have the most impact? But I think initially it's, if we're finding use cases that are going to benefit Kraken clients, I think it's leaning into that rising tide thing and not really thinking of it as oh, we're building this walled garden of this like really, you know, intense, you know, Kraken specific thing. We want to make sure that what we propose and what we're contributing, everybody else sees and sees the value in that. And so like we're excited to be able to like just bring our ideas and how the protocol changes and evolves that we know will benefit all the other users on the superchain. I think just leaning into those like OG Kraken values of, you know, being very cypherpunk, self-sovereignty and permissionless money, all that stuff. We're leaning into it with this mission of going on chain, and that, you know, truly means just like building in the open. So I think we're just excited to see like where it goes in the next year. Initially, again, we're just kind of like in listening mode and like, okay, where do we get our toes wet?
Dig it.
If we were to fast forward a year from now, you've launched, developers are on there, users are on there. What does that look like? Like, what does success look like to you? What in your dreams would you be like, okay, we did, this is an amazing year. Where does that?
Give us the OKRs, Andrew. We're ready.
Oh no, this is my engineering brain is always like anti OKR and KPI because I'm like, just let them build, like leave us alone.
Billions of TVL, no.
No, it's like, you know, I think you know, if we're staring at the dashboard, which I know I'm going to be obsessed with for a while, is like if we're staring at the dashboard, we definitely want to see the TPS be, you know, going up, right? That is going to be a clear signal that Kraken clients are going on chain.
Coming in.
We want to see like in our internal metrics that people are withdrawing a bunch to Ink. We want to. I think a year from now, if like there is an X%, hopefully greater than 10% of our clients that have all withdrawn to Ink and are using something on there, I'm going to be ecstatic. That like 10% is a lot. And I'll be really happy with that.
I love that.
Awesome. Yeah, this is a very, very exciting journey. I think everyone who's viewing this is probably just like listening to the news right now, hearing all the updates. This is incredibly informative. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew, and like for sharing your vision. Thank you so much, Ryan, as well. This is honestly the start of something that's going to be very much like Ink, the future of Ethereum. I can't help myself with these puns, unfortunately.
It's good. You're going to see it all over our website. Like we have Ink the Future on there. It is beautiful. Like
you lean into it. You can't. It's, you know, you can't take any shame. You just go all in.
Yeah, I mean it's all into the Kraken, you know, squids and cephalopods that Ink out of fear, but like we're taking that fear and we're using it to our advantage and, you know, letting people ink their future.
I remember when you all shared that name, I was like, oh, it's a fucking.
It's perfect. Name. It's perfect,
so
right?
Oh, so good. So good. I was like, ooh, that is really, really good.
We're
so
so excited. Yeah, thank you.
You're good MC and host. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Welcome to the Superchain.